everyone, and welcome. Today's video is a little bit different where I am going to give you a basic introduction to felt stitching, which is really new to me. I don't do a ton of felt stitching. I love to cross stitch, and felt stitching has been an interest of mine. So to be honest, I watched some videos and I'm putting together kind of a basic introduction to stitching, showing you how to stitch on felt and also create your own cording. I will have all of the supplies I'm using today linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. I'm going to be using the Festive felt bundle in the holiday hues, plus I have some poppy seed. Disregard the split pea over on the end. That is a very old one that I had grabbed from my stash. Now in this we have pink champagne, mint julep, guava, red pepper, and buttercream frosting is in the holiday hues, plus the poppy seed. This is the Let It Glow Garland Die Set that I'll be using, and some additional tools is a die pick, a fine tip scissors, a large pair of scissors, some teal tape, and then I also have a needle. I have no idea what size it is. It's one I just grabbed from my stitching stash. And I also have some DMC floss and also classic Colorworks floss to try and match the color of felt as best as I could. In my case, for my ornaments, I want to fill them, and I'm going to be using the poly pellets, but this is optional. And I'm also going to be using some stickles. Another handy thing is to use the Misty magnet. I'm going to use that as a needle minder, so it's going to hold my needle in place so it doesn't get lost on my desk. Before we start stitching, I want to show you the finished project. So I did do 3 of them off screen. I'll do one for you here all the way through. And I do have the stitching complete on both the front and the back. So you're getting a really nice finished look. And then I also have that cord at the top. So one thing I don't have readily on hand is cord for ornaments and not a lot of ribbon. So I'm going to show you how I created this with my DMC floss. These would be really cute to maybe attach to gifts, but I love making handmade ornaments, so that is what I want to do with these today. There are many different ways that you could assemble these, but this is the way that I found I liked the best. So I took the Let It Glow Garland set and I die cut out my pieces from the felt. So here I am using the pink champagne. You're going to want to die cut out a base piece from pink champagne and then your stitched light bulb from that same color. And then I have the bottom piece of my light bulb die cut out twice from poppy seed felt. I had run the felt through my die cut machine just like I would some cardstock, and they die cut out great. Now, if you want those holes to be a little bit more prominent, you can take your die pick and just start poking those out. If that helps when you're stitching, you can see the holes better. Both of those I did ahead of time off screen. Here I am showing you how I'm just going to go through with my die pick and kind of poke those out. And then you can kind of peel away or just rub away any of the leftover from those holes. Before I do any stitching, I need to create my cord. If you already have some on hand, that'll be great, but I'm going to show you how you can hand make that cord. And this is something that is brand new to me, so I'm sure there's a lot easier ways to do it than what I did, but this is what I found easiest for me with the supplies that I had on hand. So I took the pink floss and some white floss, and I trimmed it out to be about 12 to 14 inches, 2 strands of the white and 2 of the pink. So I have technically 4 solid strands here that are 6, what do they call it? 6 ply. Now on each of those ends, I am going to tie a knot. So here on the white, I tied a knot at the top and I'm going to tie a knot at the bottom. And I apologize if I get any of my terminology wrong. I love to do cross stitch and any type of stitching, but I may not be completely up to date on my terminology. Now again, here I'm tying a knot at the top and at the bottom of the pink. So the 2 pink are together and the 2 white are together. Then I'm going to take both of these and I am going to just kind of match them up. I trimmed off any excess thread there. I'm matching up those 2 strands and I'm going to hold that down on my work surface using the teal tape. I want to make sure that's nice and secure there so it doesn't pop out as I do my winding. I'm going to start with my pink. So these are the 2 pieces that are together right now, and I'm going to start winding it. So I'm considering this winding it to the right, and I'm just going to keep spinning this with my fingers. Now I apologize, I get off screen there down towards the bottom. I tried to get as much in the camera as I could, but just keep winding it until it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to take some more teal tape and I'm going to tape the ends down. So the tails down past the knot. I'm going to tape that down to hold that in place. Then I'm going to move over to the white And I'm going to wind those two pieces together in the same direction. So I'm still kind of winding to the right to get that nice and tight. And then once I get that all the way done, I'm going to bring that over to the pink. I carefully removed the pink from that teal tape. I taped it together actually way down at the bottom. And now we're going to take both of these pieces together and wind it the other direction. So in this case, I'm winding it to the left. And this is where you want to make sure you're really secure up at the top there so this doesn't come undone for you. And just keep winding really to your preference. I'm going to try and wind it as tight as I can because as I start fiddling with this and tying knots, it does start to loosen up a little bit. There are special tools that'll do this for you, but I don't have those tools on hand right now. Now, once I have that wound up really well, I'm going to tie a knot at the bottom. So I have a couple knots going on down here. This knot is going to secure that winding that I just did to the left. I'm going to release the ends up at the top from the teal tape and tie a knot at the top. So that should secure all of that winding I did. And now we have this really fun kind of braided cord. It's a really pretty look and just kind of a nice way to hand make something yourself. I'm just finishing this up one more time with another knot there so I can kind of loop it and then I can trim off any excess past that big knot. Now it is kind of a chunky knot. There's a lot of knots going on, but it really does pay off. I trimmed off any excess and now this is the piece that is going to be showing on our ornament. Next, we're going to take our ornament. So this is the plain piece without any stitching on it. And I'm going to take the two bottom pieces, the bottom of our light bulb. So I have one on top and one in the back. So our pink is sandwiched in between. And this is why we needed to do that braiding or that cord first, is I'm going to tuck that in the back and in between. You'll see that there as I go through. The reason I did it like that is because I tend to forget about it once I start stitching. So I set that off on the side and now I'm getting my thread ready to start stitching. So this is a thread I found matched the poppy seed felt pretty well. And thread usually comes with 6 individual strands. I am peeling away 3 of them. I like to do 3. And the reason you want to do them individually and then bring them back together is it just makes it a little bit more full. It's not such a flat thread, if that makes sense. So you do want to break them down 3 pieces individually and then bring them back together and thread those through your needle. Now we can take our needle and I like to start in the top right-hand corner and I am going to thread this in between. So see where that's sandwiched? I came up behind the top piece. I'm not stitching it together right now. I just came in through the middle layer and through it to come through the front. That way we're going to be able to tie our ends later. So you do want to leave yourself a tail, a nice kind of decent length tail to tie a knot. And then we're going to come down and just go right down through the next hole. And you're going to go all the way through. So that piece or that stitch will go through that pink layer and to the back. Now what we're going to do is what's called a running stitch. So I'm going to come back up through the back into the next hole. So it's almost like you're skipping a line. So line up through the back, come through your pink layer, and then through the front. And this is where I'm trying to my best to kind of get through both holes. I look on the back a lot. This looks a little fussy on camera, mainly because I'm holding this quite a ways from my body. I like to kind of stitch more closer to my body. But once you get started, it is really easy to do. So now as I'm going, I'm kind of holding that knot there for my cord. I'm also making sure that I have my tail there so I can tie a knot. And I'm going to go through and just do that running stitch. So coming up from the back, then down through the next hole and continue. And I'll go all the way around. Now, sometimes I know it does look like I'm struggling, and that's because I have no idea what needle size this is, but my needle is not very sharp. It's pretty blunt. So it took a little bit of work to get through all 3 layers of this felt. Really, the main one is that pink champagne because there are no holes die cut in that one. But I needed to have a base layer so that I had something to stitch to. So now I'm up towards the top. And when I come through those holes that are up by the cord, I do make sure I'm getting my stitch to go through that cord because that's what's going to secure it in place in between. So we're sandwiching it in between our felt. Now we can come back through those holes and we're going to fill in the areas that were open from before. And this is where I do find it's kind of important to really look on the back to make sure you're coming up through the hole that you already used. That's going to give you a really nice finished look on both sides of the ornament. Now, just continuing to run through those stitches, fill in those gaps. And as I come around that cord, I'm going to make sure my needle kind of goes through that cord to secure it in there. And as we finish up, this is where it's going to finish off nicely as you come in from the back, but we're not going to go all the way through to the front. You're only going to go past that pink champagne layer because this is how we're going to hide our knot. So you can see I'm coming through the back, coming through the pink champagne, kind of pulling it off on the side. And then I can just let my thread go, pull my needle out, and then tie a knot. And the knot is going to be tucked inside. And we can just trim our thread with the fine tip scissors to hide our ends, which I think is what makes part of that so magical. I know when I first used to see the stitching, I'm like, where are there knots? And that is how you hide those knots. So this ornament looks really neat, just honestly as is. But let's go ahead, bring in our next piece with the stitching detail, and we are going to do the same steps. The only thing different here is we don't have that cord, but we are going to fill it. So if you want to just do the stitching, you can do the stitching. But if you want to fill it and give it a little bit of texture to it, you can do it with any type of filling. There's different kinds of filling for blankets. This one happens to be these really little beads that I'll be using. But again, going around, I always start in that top right-hand corner. That's kind of my natural way of starting. And then going through with that running stitch. Now, as I come around, I'm going to get towards the top of the ornament or the light bulb. And I don't want to seal it up just yet. We need to leave ourselves a gap to be able to put something inside. So just coming through up from the back down to the next hole and continue. Now here I'm coming through at the top and I'm going to leave that for a second. Make sure you always keep some ends hanging out so you can tie your knot. And I'm going to bring in these pellets. Now I poured some in a bowl and I have this cute little spoon that I believe came in a crafty advent calendar from TE at one point. So I'm going to just kind of carefully put my finger in there to kind of open that up a little bit. Don't pull too hard or you'll pull your strand completely out. And then just start filling that up. It looks like I'm doing a lot, but it's just because that spoon doesn't hold a ton of pellets. And you don't have to overfill it. This is really personal preference. So I'm going to kind of keep going and then I'll just gently push down with my finger so that I have a nice flat area to finish off my stitching at the top. Plus, you don't want to push too hard. I don't think those pellets would escape from those open areas, but you just don't want to push too hard on it. And as I kind of scoot those pellets down in the light bulb, I can go through and finish my stitch. So again, I'm coming up from the back and then down through the hole to fill in all of those open stitches. Now, as I start working on the right-hand side of the light bulb, I kind of once again use my finger to push the pellets off on the side so it gives me a flat area. And then that way they're not in my way. So I will do that. They move real easily inside. I think that's kind of why I really liked them, as they were very easy to move. Now I went all the way around and once again, I'm finishing off by coming in from the back. And I'm not going to go through the front on this one. I'm going to come in through the back on that last hole and then pop it out through the side. And then we can have our tails. I can remove my needle from the thread and then I can tie a knot and hide the knot inside of that stitching. Then again, just taking your fine tip scissors and trimming those ends off and kind of tucking in any leftovers. And I had so many different ideas that I wanted to try for this. I think finding some nice solid dies to decorate the front of your ornament or your light bulb would be really cute. I just honestly ran out of time, but these are so cute and so simple to make. I love handmade ornaments. These colors are absolutely gorgeous. It was bugging me not to add something to them. So I found some stickles. This is diamond stickles that I had found in my stash. I'm going to add a little shine. And so I'm going to let that sit and dry. I do plan on making more of these and decorating them somehow, maybe adding some bows to the top. And I will post those in the Tailored Expressions fan page group if I do get those completed. But here is a great way to start your stitching projects. It's a great introduction to the stitching. I hope you all find this video helpful and you start diving into stitching because it really is a lot of fun. Again, I will have all of the supplies linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you became a subscriber to my channel, and be sure to hit the bell to be notified when new videos are posted. Thanks for joining me today. Here is another video I think you might enjoy.